Hey everyone, it's Monday, and although for most of us, myself including, I had to remind myself that it's Monday due to the lockdown. I've lost the count of days. It's been only a week for me, but I am going a bit crazy, to be quite honest. And most of you have done this for longer, so I can only imagine how difficult it must be. But especially because of the situation where we're forced to be to stop doing everything and just be alone. It's the greatest opportunity to have to really reconnect with who we really are, what makes us happy, and just to rethink the way that we do things. And today's topic that I wanted to share with you is adventure versus consumption. They might seem completely, unrelated concepts to you, but let me try to explain my point of view. As human beings, from the times where our ancestors were living in the caves, seems like we might have to go back to the caves shortly, the way that things are going. But anyways, our ancestors used to live in the caves, and they constantly faced stimuli around them, right? The moment they walked out in the morning to seek food and were, attacked by the wild animals, they had to run for their life, climb the trees, seek new territories. They were always engaging with each other, practicing a lot of sex, caressing each other, spending ample amount of time just resting and not doing anything as well. But they were much more connected to their bodies, this what I call the language of the body, our senses, right? Our sensorial system. They were much more intuitive, instinctive, and somehow they knew what were the very things that were good for them to make them healthy. No one told them how much they needed to exercise or how much food they needed to eat. And in the meantime, they seem to maintain that perfect balance. We still see that in animals and in some, tribal communities where, unless we're looking at, accidents, their longevity is much, they live much longer than we do, and they don't die from diseases such as cancer, heart disease, and those things that are really some of the most serious issues that we face today, aside from the coronavirus. So what happened, from those caveman times until the modern times is that we've lost access to stimuli, right? We're constantly either, at work when we're facing, at best we're constantly, having the stress from all the tasks that we have to complete, to be coming home and so forth and so on. But we don't really have those adventures. We don't have the adrenaline rush. We don't have the pleasure hormones such as the serotonin and endorphins constantly streaming through our blood when we do things that we enjoy. And because that's how our ancestors lived, we were wired to live in that way. So when we deny ourselves this way of living with pleasure and living with in an instinctive way and following our desires and acting on our fears and acting on our on our emotions, unless we're reconnect with that way, we're going against our natural way. I'm not saying whether that's, I'm not qualifying it yet, but it does separate our self from the way that we're living. So we create this disconnect. But we need to fill that void in some way. And consumerism has become the way that we deal with the situation. We fill up and fill in that hole, that void that we're feeling inside of wanting novelty. iPhones are our best toys right now because they are feeding on that, on our need to constantly discover new things, all the new messages and pop-ups and things like that. The stores are full of, colors and smells, and all of those things are aimed at getting at our to activating our basal ganglia, our most primitive part of the brain, for us to run and buy those products, because that's the way that we're wired. But if we recognize that that's the way that we work and stop buying for, pause for a little bit, which, we're being forced to stop buying right now, although some of us are running and buying tons of toilet paper for some reason. I haven't understood that one yet. But when we pause constantly consuming things and purchasing things and running to get the latest haircut and just constantly surrounding ourselves with this novelty that's external, in the beginning we will feel this void and this frustration that most of us are probably feeling now. What am I supposed to do if I can't go to the mall, if I can't purchase things, if I can't go and consume new foods? And we realize that there are other ways to fill our inner need or for novelty, for stimuli. And even though right now we can't really go out and practice our adventure streak and try out new things like bungee jumping and cliff diving and more simple things like just stopping on the street and talking to a stranger, even though we're told that that's not the way that we're supposed to act, or just trying out completely new activities that we're afraid to try out, such as dancing or rock climbing. When we are able to do that, I really urge you to start thinking about this now. What are some of the things that really make me happy? And they're small things. They don't have to be like, life-changing things, but things that you've always wanted to try and have never had a chance to do. Write them down. Try them out online right now, because there's so much, wealth of information available online for you to try out. And really make this opportunity, make the best of this opportunity. As you're unable to consume, use this as a chance to really cleanse yourself from that need to constantly consume and focus on your inner desire and in your inner need to be adventurous and to discover life and to seek out novelty and to live fully. That's my thought of the day. I hope you've enjoyed it. And one more piece of information that's really important. I'll be sending you more information on this later, but we will start having webinars with in-body wellness professionals. They're doctors and holistic wellness practitioners that want to speak to you about what are some of the ways that you can make the best of this situation, reconnect to yourself, and really come out of this as a new person. So stay tuned. We're going to start this week. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in those weekly webinars as well. Have a good one.